You may have noticed that I featured a couple of sports tap handles recently. And the reason why is because there's a couple of really interesting variations. And I hadn't been able to get photos and stuff like that of a number of them. So I did want to catch up on a few. And this is one I absolutely love. It's worth noting that there's a couple of different variations on this tap handle. Mostly it's the branding or kind of like what it's for. But in case you've missed it, this is the Stanley Cup up at the top of the tap handle. And this is Coors Light. So with Coors Light, this was a couple years ago when was it? I want to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I could be a little bit wrong about that, but I believe it was around that time period that they were doing these tap handles. And you'll see right here, this is Coors Light. And down here, you'll notice that it says Stanley Cup Playoffs, NHL. And there's a couple of these that they did. So they've got the playoff ones, and then they do have some for a couple of the sports teams. And I believe it was specifically for the winners. I don't know when they released them because with these being the playoff ones, I don't know if they did the one for the winners or the people that were in the finals, if they did it like afterwards for the next season or some of that, but they are out there. And with this tap, up at the top, you've got the Stanley Cup, and this is as opposed to some tap handles, it'll be kind of like a topper or removable item. From the design, this is something that just is there. That is a key part of the tap handle is the Stanley Cup there, and it is recessed in there up at the top. Overall, a pretty sweet little reproduction of it. And then down here on the bottom is the main portion of the tap handle. There's a couple of other touches that are worth noting as well. Is that so I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, but there is a little bit of a raised area here. Actually, looks like this may be bubbling on the tap, so it's worth noting that that with the wrap on it, you can get a little bit of bubbling there, but that's totally fine. And then down here on the bottom, it says the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it says that on both sides. And then down here, you've got the ferrule, so that's where it would actually attach. So it's a pretty fun tap handle overall. And like I mentioned, there are a couple of variations of off them, and they did release them a few years ago. It used to be that they weren't that hard to find. You could kind of hunt around. Now it's something where it seems like they're getting harder to find. They are still roughly at the same price for the most part, but just something to note if you're a hockey fan and you're looking for one of these, it's probably going to become harder to find these.